The movie starts in Bramstrup, a small town in southern Jutland, in April of 19th. Erna, a single mother, lives there with her smart-grown son, Kalle. They're very close since they're the only family left. They even sleep in the same room, though Kalle is already a young adult. One night, Kalle asks his mom if he can join the war because he's determined to prove himself. He wants to earn respect for their family, but Erna disagrees. She thinks he's too weak and afraid, not even able to kill a chicken. The next day, Constable Meyer and some men from the village come to their house. Meyer tells Erna that Kalle must go to war due to government orders. Erna tries to show them that Kalle can't join because of his disability, but Meyer insists they must follow orders. Suddenly, Kalle volunteers to go, leaving Erna with no choice but to prepare his things and take him to Flensburg garrison. As they arrive, a soldier stops Kalle from entering. Too late for Erna to stop him. With whatever sympathy remained in his heart, Webel Meyer, now acting as a sergeant, does his best to assist Erna. First, he persuades her to speak to the colonel, which she reluctantly does. Then, armed with homemade sausages, Erna pleads with the colonel to release her son from the camp. But it's too late. Distraught, Erna leaves the colonel's office and seeks refuge in a horse stable, where she spots two young men attempting to escape. One of them falls and breaks his legs, pleading for Erna's help, so she hides him inside the stable. Tragically, the other man is shot dead by the army upon capture. Erna's terror is palpable as she grapples with the fear for Kalle's life and her own. Eventually, the young man she rescued, Julius Rasmussen, speaks to her. He recounts the torment he endured in the camp and expresses his refusal to fight for Germany as a Danish citizen. Their shared sentiment leads them to devise a plan. Erna and Julius exchange clothes and identities. Julius then transforms Erna's appearance to resemble a man, providing her with instructions on whom to approach and where to go. After bidding farewell, Erna accompanies another soldier entering the camp, swiftly making her way to Julius's uncle, Anton Sierson, without delay. Upon introduction, Anton realizes her true identity as a woman, much to the surprise and fear of the other soldiers present, who dread the consequences of her discovery. However, Anton rises from his bed upon learning of his nephew's successful desertion, and Erna seeks his assistance in locating Kalle. With no other options, Erna, now assuming Julius's identity, remains among their group. That night, during routine attendance outside the hallway, Anton nervously anticipates Julius's name being called. To their astonishment, Erna passes by the officer unnoticed, securing her safety for the time being. As days pass and training commences, Erna encounters Meyer once again while acquiring armor and other necessities in the training camp. Meyer is taken aback to find her still present, prompting him to seek Erna out privately in Dorm 18. There, they reach an agreement. Meyer will watch over Kalle and ensure his safety at all costs during the war, in return for Erna marrying him once the conflict is over. This decision weighs heavily on Erna, who has never experienced intimacy with a man before. Following their private discussion, Meyer gathers the men and assures them of their safety under Erna's watch, earning her the title of their guardian angel. In the following days, they undergo rigorous training in shooting, gun assembly, and physical fitness, crucial for their upcoming deployment. As May arrives, Erna sadly witnesses families bidding farewell to their soldiers. Even the usually stoic Anton breaks down as he says goodbye to his loved ones. Despite the emotional farewells, Erna finds comfort in the thought of being with Kalle on the same train, cherishing their time together. During the journey, the soldiers bond, easing the monotony of travel. When granted a 15-minute break, Erna seeks solitude by the riverside. However, her moment of peace is shattered when a fellow soldier named Max Peterson assaults her, subjecting her to a traumatic experience within a short span of time. As they return to the train, Erna appears preoccupied, and her fellow soldiers start to notice her feminine appearance, confirming her identity. Meyer also observes her from a distance but refrains from approaching her. Upon reaching their destination, they find themselves in a beautiful, spacious house with numerous rooms. Meanwhile, Erna confides in Meyer about her encounter with Max. She recounts how, in self-defense, she rendered Max unconscious with a stone. Meyer assures her of his support, suggesting they handle the situation by reporting Max as a deserter. Afterward, Erna leaves to clean herself up. Anton accidentally catches sight of Erna changing into women's clothes but reacts unexpectedly. Instead of reprimanding her, he invites her to dance. They share a moment of joy and forgetfulness amidst the turmoil of war. It's Erna's first time dancing, and she relishes the experience of being held by a man while Anton finds comfort in her presence. Their dance is abruptly interrupted by Meyer, who calls them to the kitchen for an important announcement. Despite gossip circulating among their fellow soldiers about a woman traitor serving in the military, they are referring to Erna. To survive checkpoints and evade authorities, Meyer proposes volunteering for a risky job. Erna steps forward to volunteer for the dangerous front line, an area many soldiers avoid due to its deadly nature. However, Meyer assures them that they will return home after 10 days. Encouraged by this promise, the men agree to volunteer. Before heading to the front line, the troops share a final meal with their comrades. As they proceed, they notice white fireworks in the sky, unsure of their significance. Upon arrival, they encounter exhausted men barely clinging to life. Meyer introduces himself to the officer, who explains their duty to defend a sector of the German Reich. Emphasizing the importance of rotating tasks to mitigate problems, the officer then leads them to their underground bunk, which is unpleasantly cramped and filled with hanging dead rats and filth. The following day, Erna shares duties with Fritz, a 15-year-old boy seeking to redeem his family's honor after losing male relatives in the war. Fritz asks if he can call Erna Moody, reminiscent of his own mother. Erna then decides to clean their bunk, enlisting Kalla's help, much to the amusement of the others who tease him about his mother's influence. Frustrated, Kala angrily tells his mother to leave him alone in the war, asserting his ability to handle it. Erna, taken aback and speechless, is interrupted by the arrival of the other men. During breakfast the next day, a large plane flies overhead, unsettling the soldiers. Meanwhile, Erna and Kala appear to grow closer, becoming inseparable. However, Meyer silently harbors jealousy and resentment towards their bond. Driven by jealousy, Meyer assigns Kala, Anton, and Christian to duty at the barbed wire, much to Erna's concern for her son's safety. While repairing the wire, Erna supports them from behind as the French begin shooting. Christian and Anton manage to escape, but Kala is unable to. Anton quickly realizes this and returns to help ensure his safety. The three successfully make it back to the safety of the bunk, escaping the dangers outside. Inside, Erna vents her frustration at Meyer, her emotions boiling over. The next day, while assembling their guns, Meyer asks for a private conversation with Erna. Alone in the bunk, he confesses his love for her and presses her to marry him, also confronting her about her relationship with Anton. His jealousy flares, culminating in an unwelcome kiss that prompts Erna to push him away. Their moment is abruptly shattered by a deafening explosion, leaving them both stunned. Soldiers flood into the bunk, wounded and bleeding from the blast. Despite the pandemonium, Kala emerges unscathed, but the relentless bombings and shootings have left everyone shaken. With Meyer unreachable, Anton steps in to lead, guiding them through the turmoil. As time passes, Matthias attempts to keep track of the days by carving markings into his bunk bed. When Erna inquires about the day, she discovers it's Thursday, indicating they've been holed up in the bunk for about 3 days. Erna fondly remembers that Kala's birthday falls on Saturday. Uncertain of their survival until then, she decides to craft pancakes to commemorate the occasion. Amidst the joyous singing and celebration, their moment is abruptly disrupted when Meyer, lost in his own turmoil, interrupts, holding a gun towards Anton. The atmosphere becomes tense as they plead with Meyer to let go of his dangerous thoughts. Sensing the escalating tension, Erna instinctively shields Kala from harm. Meyer, unable to harm Erna whom he loves, chooses to face the dangers of the battlefield instead. In the aftermath, Anton and Erna share a quiet moment, opening up about their lives. Erna reveals the heartfelt story of how she found and adopted Kala, a baby left on her doorstep. Despite initial struggles and doubts, she made a solemn vow to protect him for life, a promise she holds dear. As Anton listens, he gently encourages Erna to consider releasing her grip on Kala now that he's grown, reminding her of the importance of mutual care and support. Empowered by this newfound understanding, Erna and Anton embrace their desires amidst the chaos of war, finding solace and connection in each other's arms, without the weight of tomorrow's uncertainties. The next day, faced with the challenge of dwindling food supplies, Erna bravely ventures outside while the men rest, determined to provide for their needs. Erna witnesses the devastating aftermath of Kala's death and the toll of the war. Among the fallen soldiers, she spots Meyer's lifeless body suspended above. Desperate to shield herself from danger, she pulls his body close for cover. As the French troops pass by, Erna cries out for help, but her pleas go unheard. However, amidst the chaos, she senses Kala's presence. He gently separates Meyer's body from his mother's grasp and leads it back to the safety of the bunk, leaving Erna alone outside. Erna awakens in the middle of a pond, surrounded by French soldiers. Instead of facing certain death, she bravely reveals the Danish flag she acquired from Anton, a symbol of her identity and allegiance. This act of courage spares her life, as the soldiers recognize her nationality and allow her to live. In November of that year, 6 months after the war, Erna survives and serves as a kitchen aide in a French prison camp for prisoners of war. Finally, a soldier delivers the news that the war has ended, and Erna is summoned to the official's office. There, she is granted her freedom and commended for her bravery in the face of danger during the war. With her newfound freedom, she is sent back home to Denmark. During her journey home on endless train rides, Erna spots Anton sleeping in a corner of the train car as she prepares to depart her station. The movie concludes as she disembarks and requests the guard to return the Danish flag she had taken under the name of Julius. As she walks back to her hometown, she is warmly greeted by her neighbors, and to her delight, she discovers that Kala has returned home as well. Now, Erna is reunited with her beloved son and carries the child of Anton, symbolizing new beginnings and hope for the future. With her family by her side, Erna walks into her hometown, embracing the future with optimism and gratitude.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.